Yo, what is up, headhunters and executive recruiters? This is David Stephen Patterson, and today I have got a special treat for you. So today I want to teach you about project management methodologies. Exciting, right? So here's what's really going on though. So this is the second in a multi-part video series on recruiter productivity. And no, this isn't some lame-ass productivity training on making sure that you have 100 calls scheduled for tomorrow before you leave for the day, blah, blah, blah. You've seen the training a million times, and I'm not gonna rehash that at all. So this is all fresh stuff that you likely have not heard before. So, I ran this training live a few days ago in the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter community on Facebook. Now, if you're not familiar with that, this Facebook group, also known as #HERC for short, is a group on Facebook of close to about 6,000 recruiters, and we're growing quickly. Now, it largely scales third party or agency. So if you want to call us headhunters, executive recruiters, search consultants, executive search consultants, third party recruiters, whatever, but that's what we tend to skew towards. We do have some internal, corporate recruiters in there as well, all right? But for the most part, I'd say about 80% of the group is largely agency, including search firm owners. So if you're an owner, great place to be in as well, to both network, ask questions, ask for advice or give advice. We have a lot of free trainings in there. We have a lot of fun. We're trying to really build a very tight-knit community, right? So I will go in and join that. So the link for that one will be down below. Click the link, get in on it, and be part of the HERC, all right? So with that said, let's talk about this training. So you may notice behind me, we have, let me move the mic out of the way here, we have Steve Urkel, which by the way was the best part of the sitcom Family Matters back in the early 90s. If you're not familiar with Family Matters, Steve Urkel was like the prototypical nerd in the early 90s. Ended up being the star of the show, but was played by Jaleel White, who actually is a really cool guy, but he just played the most amazing, kind of very, very stereotypical nerd, right? And who's a hilarious character. And again, was the best part of the show. It was a great show, but without him, then it wasn't even worth watching, right? Anyway, so the whole theme behind this training is if you feel like a zero and you want to be a hero like Jaleel White, this training will help you get there, specifically in regards to productivity. Now, this is a free video series I'm doing in the HERC. This was supposed to be a 3-part video series on productivity, but having done 2 of these so far, it's really going to extend out much, much further than that. Now, the first training was all about the overview. We talked about in that training the 6 horizons of your life, the myth of work-life balance, and actually it's more about intentional work-life imbalance in order to achieve your goals, right? Or you can also call it work-life integration, but whatever. So we talked about that. We talked about mindset, about how to overcome resistance. So, and also in that training, I spoke about a book called The War of Art, not The Art of War, but The War of Art, one of the most important books I've ever read on mindset. And so I would check the link down below, and I'll try to include a link for the Amazon link. You can go buy that book. So that was in the first training. So if you haven't watched that training yet, check here on my channel and check on that training and go watch it first. Now, the second training, we start to narrow things down a bit, and we talk about project management methodologies. I know, sounds really exciting, but trust me, it is a good training. It's fantastic because this is where the rubber meets the road, because we can do all the planning in the world, right? We can plan over Christmas or a holiday break about our entire year. We're gonna do this, we're gonna make this much money, we're gonna do this much in billings, and we're gonna make this many calls, and blah, 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 blah. And then by February, we forget all about it, right? Why does that happen? Maybe we want to implement a new ATS system. We'd never do it. Why? We want to implement a new marketing system, and it doesn't happen. Why? because we lose track of shit. We're so lost in our day to day. And what happens with that is it causes a lot of undue stress. You see, our mind is great for ideas, great for thinking of ideas, but it's not great for storing ideas. And if we don't have a system where you can store all of your ideas and put everything in there, all your tasks, ideas, thoughts, etc., and have a system that you can trust, if you don't have that, you're always keeping it in your head. And just like a computer, as the computer gets older and the memory starts being taken up, a lot of clutter, the computer performance degrades over time. The same thing happens in our mind, right? And so we stop having good ideas. We start becoming stressed. And we're constantly worried, or what I call an emergency scan modality. We're constantly scanning the horizon for fires to put out. And so what happens is that we wake up in the morning, we get our coffee, we do our thing, get in front of our computer, look at our emails and figure out, okay, what do we have to do today? And we're constantly putting out fires, constantly having other people plan our day for us, working out of our email. And what happens? Well, we get what's called the day gone by syndrome, right? Where your entire day goes by and you look back and you say, what did I really do today? It felt like I was busy, but I didn't get jack shit done. So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you a simple project management methodology, as well as talk about some of the project management tools that I use to help manage your life. And it's not just about managing your tasks and projects that you have at work. It's also managing every aspect of your life, right? Ideas that you have, the recipe your grandma gave you for cookies, to managing the things you need to do with your kids, as well as picking up milk at the grocery store. It's putting everything into the system, everything. And then and from there, using that system to manage all these aspects of your life. That way you don't have to worry about having to remember everything. You don't have to worry about ever missing anything ever again. What it allows you to do, it allows you to actually be more present to the people that you're with, which is an amazing thing. You see, when people think about productivity, they think it just means getting more shit done in less time, and that's part of it. But productivity also is all about being able to manage everything correctly so that your stress levels come down, right? You're happier, you're more content. When you're at the dinner with your family, you're there with your family, not always on your phone, checking your email, right? So that's what we'll be talking about here today. It's a little bit of a shorter training than our first one. I think we're running about an hour or so. So with that said, strap on in, kids, and enjoy the training, and I hope you get a lot of value out of it. I'll see you there. Sweet. Hey, we have Jeff Hyman on here. We have Ben. I'm looking at the meeting list. We have Karen. Awesome. We got a lot of great people on here. Got Gina, Scott, Jim, Fred Fox. What's up, everybody? All right, let's do this here. So this is the Zero to Hero training series number 2 on recruiter productivity. And what we're trying to avoid here, by the way, in all the lessons that I give here, I want to make sure that you move away from this dopamine cycle that we're in, right? And I talked about this last time, but I want to reiterate it again. Going through trainings like this is awesome, right? It fires off all the dopamine triggers in your head and makes you feel fantastic. Unfortunately, it's a drug, right? And that drug wears off very, very quickly. And then what happens when the drug wears off? Well, you don't follow through with all those goals and those plans. I mean, how many times do we make the New Year's resolution to go hit the gym? And, January 2nd, maybe not January 1st because we're all hungover, but January 2nd, January 3rd, the gym is full. And about maybe a month, maybe 2 months later, it is a ghost town. And if you do this year after year after year after year, both in your business as well as your fitness goals or whatever it is, realize that has to stop now, right? Because it's very easy to plan, very easy to make goals, but it's not. But it's very hard to maintain. So what we're doing here, when it comes to productivity is we're going to try to help you maintain. And one of the things we'll talk about today is my the project management methodology that I use that helps keep me on track. We're going to do a quick review of what we talked about last week. We talked about the importance of having a vision, mission, and principles, as well as the 6 horizons of life. So we'll do a quick review of that because it is pertinent to what we'll be talking about this week or this session. And specifically in this session, we will be taking a deeper look into my project management methodology and the methodology that I personally recommend, which is called GTD, Getting Things Done. Now, I didn't come up with GTD. David Allen wrote a book called, well, Getting Things Done. And you don't need to read the book. Quite frankly, it doesn't really need a whole book to explain how to implement it. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like here in this session. And we're primarily going to be talking about that. There's a lot more to talk about. And I think... And the more I get into this, the more I think this productivity series is going to really extend past even the 3 original sessions I had originally planned, because I still want to talk about how to do deep work, time management versus energy management. There are things I want to talk about with regard to being productive as a parent and also implementing productive habits into your children. So we'll cover all those in later sessions. But today, it's going to be a deeper look into GTD. Specifically, the philosophy behind GTD and the 5 steps on how to implement it, how to capture everything that has your attention. We'll talk about the GTD workflow, and I will have a super cool diagram for you. We'll talk about how to do a weekly review and why this is so crucial to your success. I apologize about the typo there. And we'll also talk about how your 6 horizons that we spoke about in last session, how they will fit into your review process. So with that said, if you're ready to go, let's do this thing. So in our last session, we spoke about mindsets. Specifically, we spoke about resistance. And if you haven't picked it up yet, I would go pick up the book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I may sound like a broken record, but because I talk about this book all the time, every student that goes through the accelerator, I say, look, you got to get this book. The War of Art is by far the most important book I've ever read on personal development, just simply because it teaches you how to do one thing and one thing only, how to meet resistance, because resistance is the number one killer, right, of you and your dreams. It literally is life or death that you master it, because if you don't, you will lie on your deathbed and regret all the things that you did not do. And not only that, not only you're hurting yourself, but you'll be hurting you, your family, and the world, because the world needs your gifts. Whatever those gifts are, the world deserves your best. And a resistance in your life will resist you at every step of the way. So that book teaches you some great strategies on how to both recognize resistance, how to master it, how to fight it, and you have to fight it every single day, as well as how to use it as your Polaris star or as your North Star. So, and I talked about this a bit in last session about how, how perfectionism is a myth, perfection, is a myth, right? I have a saying I use in my program often: done is better than perfect. Because perfection, for a lot of us, really is just another form of procrastination. I talk about the power of consistency, right? And treating each day as a battle, right? And waking up and going to war, going to battle, making it happen, going to bed, and doing it over and over and over and over, right? We talked about not slipping into excuses, complaining, negativity, as well as not letting your ego take over in your daily work, as well as the projects that you're taking on. So to go into more detail on on those concepts, go watch the other lesson. I won't go into super in-depth detail. We also talked about the importance of having a vision, mission, principles, and I also gave you examples of what mine were in my business. So go ahead and check that out. We talked about the 6 horizons of your life, and we'll do a quick review of that specifically because it ties into the GTD methodology. We spoke about the myth of work-life balance, and that really it should be more about intentional imbalance, right? Depending upon the things that we need to achieve in that time period. And then we also wrapped up with some specific tactics on how to deal with procrastination, okay? So with that said, let's dive into the 6 horizons because I want to talk about that very briefly before we get into the GTD methodology because it is relevant. Now, with regard to the 6 horizons of your life, this is what I call vertical planning. Now, when we talk about the GTD methodology, your project management methodology, that's what I call horizontal planning, okay? Now, usually for most people that are unproductive, they're very bad at vertical planning, or they're very bad at horizontal planning. Vertical planning is your long-term goals, for example, and I'll go into some more in depth here. But that is an example of vertical planning. While your horizontal planning is your day-to-day, your week-to-week, and your month-to-month. So let's talk about the different horizons of your life now. And again, I did talk about this last time, but it is important because we're going to go over this here again with regard to GTD. So the runway level, okay, this is the emails, the calls, to-dos, etc. This is your daily tasks. And David Allen actually suggests, or he estimates that if we were to add up all the tasks that are currently undone in our lives, whether it's calling your grandma that you haven't talked to in a few years, guilty as charged, or it's responding to all of your emails, it's the shopping list, and it's every single little thing. You got about 300 to 500 hours worth of tasks in there, many of which are actually unimportant, but they're still hanging out there in your mind, right? And speaking of that, we'll be talking about how to get those out of your mind and into your system here in this program or in this session. Now that's your runway level. Now, there's also the 10,000 foot level. Those are your near-term projects, things that take more than one action, right? And typically in most people's lives, they have 30 to 100 active projects. Now, unfortunately, this is where it really starts to break down for many people because they don't have things broken up into projects, right? It's really just a matter, they really just have a bunch of tasks. Many of these tasks should be projects, but they get stuck because they're not thinking of them as actual projects when they should be. So we'll be talking about that as well here in the GTD methodology. And then you have areas of responsibility. In a lot of ways, these are also very similar to long-term projects. And I'll show you what I mean when I show you a screen grab of OmniFocus, which is my own personal project management tool that I use. And I personally have those broken up into home life. I've got my social life. I've got children. I've got my 2 businesses. I've got the Kinetic Group. I've got the Digital Headhunter, etc. So I'll show you what that means. But those are the areas of responsibility that you have, and most people have anywhere between 4 to 7. And again, it's not just your work. It's also again the relationships, let's say, or maybe your social life, or could it's your personal. It could be your health, etc. 30,000 foot, that's your 6 to 12 months desired outcomes. 40,000 is your 3 to 5 year goals and objectives, and this really is what shapes your personal and professional direction. And then, of course, your 50,000 foot life purpose, right? This is your overall, what do you want to accomplish in this life, right? What actions or what life do you want to live that will reverberate throughout time? That's pretty heavy, right? It's legacy. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to die. In fact, we're all suffering from death right now. We're getting one day closer to death every single
day, the clock is ticking, and Mother Nature doesn't give a shit. So we can either, be blown about by the wind, or we can choose our own path. And that's what your vision, your mission, and principles, how they really come into play. All right. So with that said, let's get into all the new stuff. Do any of you guys feel like this, where you feel like this constant state of paranoia and anxiety, right? You got a million things to do. You wake up every morning, and what do? You check your inbox and your email. Then you check your notifications. Then you check LinkedIn. Then you check your personal email, and not just your work email, right? And this is all before you get up out of bed, because you're looking for fires to put out. This is the hamster wheel of your life. And for many of us, this is a death sentence, right? Because in this constant state of anxiety, it increases cortisol. It decreases our lifespan. It makes us fatter. It screws up our hormones. It makes us not think clearly, right? But this is the way that we live. And especially for a lot of recruiters who are, say, 360 recruiters. So you're not just recruiting for positions. You're trying to figure out your marketing plan. You're trying to figure out how you'll do your business development. You're trying to figure out your training program for yourself. You're trying to figure out how you're going to recruit for the business that you do have, and also keep track of all the candidates and your job orders and your pipeline, etc. It's a damn mess, and it sucks, right? And so what happens is it puts us into the state of we're always scanning for fires. And this is called, and David Allen calls this the emergency scan modality. And so what that simply means is that we're always fighting fires. And if we're not fighting a fire, we're looking for the next fire, because that's what our life has simply become. It's just fires that we're trying to put out. And unfortunately, in our lives, that our entire lives become this, and our careers become this. And this is the reason why we set so many goals and we can never seem to achieve them, because this is just how our life is now. And so what happens is you end up becoming very scatterbrained, because you're always trying to keep things in your head, right? I mean, how many times have you had a great idea and then you forgot it, right? Happens this all the time, right? And the reason why we're always searching for emergencies, because emergencies come up simply because we tend to forget the things that we need to do anyway. So it's a vicious cycle that we're in. And so we're always looking at the horizon, looking for emergencies, usually things that we forgot to do. And so what happens is it keeps us easily distracted. And so we tend to suffer from what's called the day gone by syndrome. And it's where you wake up, you go to work, and you jump from one thing to another, and every new thing that you know, or every new thing that comes up, you take care of it right there on the spot. And by the end of the day, your entire day is gone because you weren't intentional about it. And you look back and you're saying, I really don't know what I did today. I mean, I know what I did, but at the end of the day, you're just really keeping your head above water, right? And so your ultimate goal really is to be able to, instead of being a firefighter, always looking for those fires to put out, you want to be a samurai, right? A samurai who is peaceful in your mind, right? You're laser focused on your mission, right? You go out on a mission and you don't return until you successfully complete it, all right? You've got one priority, not 10 different priorities. You get one priority. Now, you may have the different horizons of your life, and you have different areas of responsibility. Remember, we all have between 4 to 7 areas of responsibility, but within that responsibility, you have one mission, right? And above those areas of responsibility, you've got one life purpose. It's always one. You need to have one priority. And when you're in that priority, nothing else matters, because you put all your focus into that one thing, because it is of utmost importance. And nothing can distract the samurai from achieving their goal. But a samurai isn't a samurai without their system, right? You can call it the samurai's katana, if you will, their weapon, right? It's where the samurai in that katana become one instrument. And you have to think of your system in this case for me, the GTD system, as my weapon. And I have to hone it, maintain it, practice with it. It has to become a part of me and so integrated into my life. I'm all just one system. And that is what allows me, and when people look at the work that I put out a lot of work. I run two practices, both my recruiting practice as well as this coaching practice, and I maintain this group, and I do, and of course I, in my fitness goals, and my family and all that, I had to fit a lot of things in, right? This is how I do it. Everybody always asks me, do you ever sleep? I do. I sleep very, very well. But this is how I do it. But if your system is airtight, this is what gets you to that to that state. It will never be at this state completely, but it's something that we always want to strive for. And so the GTD methodology is, in my mind, the most effective system for clearing your mind of all the inputs so you can focus on the things that are truly important, and only those things, and that is it. Okay? So let's talk about that. Because GTD has the ability to put everything into basically a central system, right? And if you do it right, you can, quite frankly, revolutionize your life. And it's not just about being productive. I mean, that's part of it. But it's about having everything in a central place so you can live in peace and tranquility. Because that is how you maintain true productivity. If you're always in firefighter mode, right, scanning the horizon for fires in emergency scan mode, then your life is disorder and chaos because you're always putting out those fires. Okay? So when it comes to GTD, there are really 5 different steps of the GTD methodology. We'll go over each of these here in detail. So first step is capture what has your attention. Second is clarify what those things mean. Third, organize them into the appropriate container, and this is where we go into the super cool diagram I have for you, a workflow diagram. Reflect and review your systems. And lastly, engage. Or in other words, do the damn work. Okay? So we'll talk about each of these in detail. And let's start with capture. Now, to capture, and this is the first step of the GTD system, it hinges on being able to capture everything that has your attention quickly and efficiently whenever you notice it. So, everything in our lives that's important, every piece of technology, every new idea, heck, even the birthplace of our country, all started with a single idea. Okay? However, we give ourselves too much credit and think we can retain these ideas, but we can't. We can't retain these ideas without capturing them into a trusted system because our brain is designed for having ideas and not holding them. And so when your brain acts like your inbox, which is usually when we're always fighting fires and looking for the next thing, our brain acts like our inbox, right? And for any of you who spend your life in your email and your inbox on Outlook, you know exactly what I mean. Your inbox gets so cluttered very, very easily, and our brain doesn't function very well like that. And so what happens is that is actually the cause of stress, and that's what rises cortisol, right? And what keeps us from having good ideas. It keeps us from our brain working the way it's supposed to work, right? Because so, you want your ideal state, your brain, to be mind like water, right? Where it's always flowing, come with the new ideas, never holding on to a single one because you put it into your project management inbox, right? You get it out of your brain and into your system. And that is how you escape the tyranny of the urgent. Because otherwise, if you're always taking care of the urgent, you're never taking care of the important. Okay? Because usually some of the most important things aren't the urgent ones. So when it comes to your capture methodology, we all have inboxes in our lives, right? We have physical inboxes like mailbox. We have our mental inbox, which is the worst inbox in the world. We have our email. We have Scratchpad, if you put things down in a notebook, and we also have our task management software. What you want to do is you want to fall back on all the first four here: physical, mental, email, Scratchpad. You want to get all of these out, right? And these inboxes are still inboxed to a certain degree, but you want to, as much as possible, move every single idea, task, anything, any thought from your inbox into your task management software or task management tool of some kind. That is your ideal inbox. And if you don't capture that information in the appropriate inbox, and that should be your task management tool, right? If you don't do that as it comes to you, you will quickly lead back to emergency scan mode. Now, I use OmniFocus as the centerpiece of my project management system, and all my tasks and all my ideas flow into that system. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a bit. But ideally, you want to process this inbox daily, okay? Now, here's the thing. When you are... Now, one thing to keep in mind as well, when you are processing your inbox daily, I don't necessarily mean clearing your email inbox, etc. But what I mean by that is, as you're releasing tasks into your, let's say, for example, for me, it's OmniFocus. For you, it may be Asana, or there's a tool called To-Do List, etc. You want to process that inbox every single day. And we're going to talk about how to, once you process that inbox, what to do with it, okay? Now, when you process your inbox, then you think, okay, what do I need to do with these different tasks? Now, granted, these may not be tasks. These may certainly be ideas. It may be a recipe for cookies. It may be anything like that, right? But you're going to put everything into your inbox, and every day, at a certain time of the day, whether it be in the morning or at night before you go to bed, I do mine at night, you want to process that inbox. And this is where you make a decision about what to do with those inputs. Now, this is actually the easy part. It only takes a few seconds to decide where it belongs once your system is set up. But you have to do this regularly, and you can't let these pile up. It will bite you in the ass. Because if you let them pile up over a few days, what happens is you get a project management system that is unwieldy. And you get back to being in an emergency scan mode. In essence, being a firefighter. Okay? So we'll talk about organizing. And this is the next step in terms of, and by the way, the clarify, organize really is kind of the same step, if you will, kind of two sides of the same coin. And I'll show you what I mean here when it comes to organizing your system. Okay, so here's what the GTD methodology looks like, and it's actually quite simple when you look at it, and it's really quite genius. So you've got your inbox, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that here towards the end, like what I actually mean by my inbox. But I'm going to process my inbox daily. All my ideas, all my tasks, etc. I process in, and so when I process my inbox, I ask myself, okay, so what is this? Like, what am I processing here, right? Now, is it actionable? This is the first question you have to ask yourself. Is this an actionable task? Now, if it's not, like this might be a recipe for cookies that your grandmother gave you, right? Or this might be an idea for a new service line, right? Or an idea for your website, whatever it is. Or it could be just information or an ebook that you've downloaded or anything like that. If it's not necessarily actionable, then you want to either put it in the trash, and I'll tell you, probably about half of my inbox gets trashed every single time I process it. So not everything is going to be worthy, right? But I'll put that into trash. Or if it's not necessarily, maybe it could be actionable in the future, but not necessarily actionable in the immediate term, then I'll put that into a someday or maybe pile. Okay, I'll do that someday, or I may do that in the future. For I'm just going to put it there for right now. Quite frankly, there are some things I have on my someday maybe projects, if you will, that have been there for years. And I'll go there at some point and maybe take action on them, or maybe I'll delete it at some point, right? But for me, if I ever have an idea, ever, it's always in there somewhere. I never have to worry about losing anything. And if it's something I need to reference, I can put that in something like Evernote. So again, if it's a recipe for cookies, then I could put that in Evernote, right? Now, let's say it is actionable. Then I've got to decide, okay, well, then what's the actual action? Now, something may take more than one action. If it takes more than one action, they need to put that into a project. Now, because the project, in essence, is just a larger task that's broken up into smaller tasks. So I need to put that into project, and of course, on a regular basis, I need to review these projects to make sure that they're still aligned with my overall goals. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in the next step. Now, if it's something that I can take care of, it's a single action. I ask myself, okay, it's a single action. Can I take care of it in less than 2 minutes? Because quite frankly, if it's something I can't take care of less than 2 minutes, then I should do it right then. But let's say it is. Then, okay, do it. Now, if it's not actionable within 2 minutes, then I simply either delegate it to someone else who might be better suited to handle that task, and then, by the way, if I do delegate it, I have a special list in my OmniFocus called a waiting for list. So now if I delegate something to somebody, let's say Bree here, who's my admin, well, I put that on a waiting for list. And so now I can go and check that list and see, is there any tasks I'm waiting on somebody else to complete? Okay. And I can actually filter that by person. So I can see, hey, what am I waiting on from Bree? What am I waiting on from Nika, my daughter? What am I waiting on from John, my son, or from Elisa, right? So using a waiting for list and having it broken up by person really helps to make sure that you're staying on top of the things that you delegate to other people. Now, let's say I don't delegate it, right? Something that I do want to take care of, I could simply defer it for another time. So if it's a single action, I will defer it. I may just defer it till the next day, but I'm going to defer it to when I have more time to actually take care of it. And if it's something that's time bound, I need to make sure I put it on my calendar. But this, in essence, is the GTD system. Now, there's a lot of nuance in here, right, that I haven't really gone into. So, for example, whenever you are trying to clarify the task, and you ask yourself, well, okay, what is it? Is it actionable? Okay, if it's yes or no, and if it is actionable, okay, what's the next action? Is it a multi-action sort of task? Okay, turn that into a project and break that up into tasks. If it's a single action, it's less than 2 minutes to do. If it's more than 2 minutes, either defer it or delegate it. Okay. But I also need to ask myself, what's the context? Now, the context is the tool or the person or the place associated with that thing. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I am processing my inbox and I've got different contexts I have or different tools that I use to help me take care of my tasks and my projects. One of those could be a phone. Right? So anybody that I need to call is going to have a context phone. Anything that I need to take care of at home, let's say a home improvement task, or I need to clean up my gutters, or I need to, regrout my whatever. That's home. I do these things when I'm at home, so it could be place. If I'm throwing things in my inbox and it's pick this up from the store or buy something, I have a context for grocery store. So that way, when I go to the grocery store, everything I need to get is under that context. Same goes with if I need to buy things online. It goes into my inbox. And then when I'm ready to buy things online, I go and I chunk all those things that I need to buy online and do them all at the same time. So what a context does for you, and OmniFocus does this really, really well. What a context does for you is you can go in and, of course, look at things via project or break things down via task. But let's say I've got my phone with me. This is, this next hour is phone time. Okay, let me pull up all my tasks that have a phone context regardless of the project that they're in, and let's take care of all those right there. Okay, Same thing if I'm at the grocery store. Or you can also have context with regard to energy. So, for example, you can have a low energy context, meaning it's a Sunday afternoon, you're kind of just like on the couch, you don't have a lot of energy, but you want to get some stuff done. Well, pull up your low energy context and do those things that don't take a lot of mental energy, but you got to get them done anyway. So do your low energy tasks, right? So you want to be thinking about, in terms of your project management methodology, okay, what are the contexts that I can use? Remember, it's usually they're tools, places, it could be energy, even could be people, right? So in my project management methodology and GTD, I have in OmniFocus, I've got context also set up for people. So I've got a context for Elisa. I've got a context for Nika. So things I need to take care of with my daughter, Nika, then I pull all those up at the same time and take care of them, right? So that is what a context is used for. So let's move on to reviewing. This is reflect. Now, this is where people tend to screw things up because, and this is the issue that I had for a long time. So I've been on this system now for a good, I want to say 6 years, 7 years. And the first couple of years, it just was not effective for me. I was banging my head against the wall. And the reason why is because I didn't do my reviews ever. And so it quickly became unwieldy. You see, a review on this, and by the way, this is something that you need to be doing every single week. A review is the biggest mistake that people make, and the reason why the system becomes unwieldy. Because what happens is, in essence, you have a machine, right? And yes, it's a well-oiled machine, but you need maintenance, needs oil, and needs slight adjusting because over time, things start to get out of whack, right? And so what happens is that if there's small variances or small things happen, well, over time, those variances grow larger and larger and larger. And what happens is when you at first had a well-oiled machine that went in a straight line, it starts to wobble. And then it starts wobbling more. And the wobble creates more wobble. And then it starts wobbling even more. And next thing you know, it's basically wobbling out of control, right? Think of your engine, right? When you hear the first couple of knocks in the engine, doesn't sound quite smooth, you should probably take it into the shop, right? Now, to make sure it doesn't happen in the first place, instead, do your maintenance. And that's what your weekly review is, right? So your weekly maintenance simply is this, and I do this on a Sunday, right? And I schedule this in my calendar, right? So you want to create time and space to make this happen. So every Sunday, and by the way, guys, your week is won on Sunday, 100%. Every Sunday, instead of watching football, or maybe watch football, but, do the important things first. You don't get to watch football until you do your review, right? Then you can go have your fun. But pick a spot, pick a space, right? Your office or your study or park, what have you, or a coffee shop or Starbucks. Go pick a spot, put it on your calendar. It is one of the most important times, in fact, maybe the most important time of your week. You should be focused on your review. And so in your review, very first thing you do, you should be emptying all of your inbox, which you should be doing every day. But this is where you make sure that every single thing is empty. Empty your mind, empty your email, empty your physical, put every single thing you can into your project management tool. Once you do that, go review all of your projects, right? And you want to ask yourself some questions on these projects and ask yourself, is this something that you want to make sure that you still do? So, for example, I'm going to tell you some of the questions that you want to ask yourself. All right, so when you review your project, think about these questions, right? So when you look at each project, think about, is there anything else I need in order to complete this project? And if there is, add those tasks to the project. Also ask yourself, is this project still something I should be working on, right? Sometimes projects just lose their importance. Now, you don't necessarily need to get rid of the project altogether. Put it in your someday maybe pile and come back to it later, right? Just because a project isn't important now doesn't mean it won't be important in the future. Now ask within the project, are the next actions for this project clearly defined? And are the dates for this project still current, right? And if you need to, just delete that from your system if the project is not relevant anymore. Now, one of the great things about OmniFocus when it comes to your projects is that you can set them up sequentially. So if you have 10 different tasks within a project, you can set this up where those tasks will not become available until the prior task is complete. Because one of the big things that happens when you are dealing with just a to-do list is you get task overwhelm. You're overwhelmed by the number of tasks that you have, and it causes paralysis. So one of the great things about OmniFocus, and if you don't want to use OmniFocus, there's Asana. There's plenty of other tools that do similar things. Just OmniFocus is the one that I like, is that it helps you manage these things. So again, I can pull up contexts like a tool, say the phone or a place or a person, etc., or my energy level, and just do that. I don't see anything else. Or from a project level, I'm only working on this tasks I need to complete right then, like right there. And I don't see the next task until that prior task is complete. It's pretty powerful, right? But the review that you do on a weekly basis, this is the grease that makes the entire GTD system run smoothly. If you can do this, you'll escape that emergency scan modality quickly and forever. And it's not just a weekly review, mind you. You should also do this quarterly. You should also do this yearly. It's important to make sure that you're always staying on top. And this also is where you are going to be taking into account your 6 horizons, right? Because you also want to make sure in every review session, go and review your 50,000 foot view all the way down to your runway view. The reason why is because we always forget our long-term vision, right? What is our life purpose? There's a lot of power in focusing on our life purpose every single week, right? And all the way down, not just the life purpose, but all the way down to your runway. It's important for us to keep an eye and think about all the projects that we're working on right now. And these tasks, am I working towards my 10,000, my 20,000, my 30,000, 40,000, and 50,000 foot views? Right? So always be thinking that when you are taking care of your reviews. And of course, last but not least, engage. That's just doing the work. Now, in our last session, I talked about procrastination, and I talked about some ways to combat and defeat procrastination. So if that's an issue with you and you feel like you can't quite get your tasks done, go watch that lesson. I think it's towards the end is when I go over the procrastination tips. And when it comes to our next sessions, because this is just what I wanted to cover today. In our next sessions, which I think this might actually have to cover another 3 or 4 sessions beyond this, we'll talk about how to structure your days and weeks for success, and I'll also give you a peek at my War Map calendar. My War Map calendar is what I use for my monthly and weekly planning. So I'll show you what that looks like and how that fits into my system. And I'll show you a sample 30-day market attack. So if you're out doing business development, I'll show you what that would look like from a monthly view. I'll give you some tips on email management. We'll talk about time management versus energy management. We'll talk about deep work, and we'll talk about productivity tools. That's all the shiny toys that everybody loves, as well as how to be productive as a parent. So with that said, let me wrap this up with a couple of things here. Bear with me. I want to show you OmniFocus. I'm going to give you just an idea of what I mean, because when I talk about projects, right, and contexts, for a lot of people can be quite confusing. You're like, I don't know what you mean by that, right? Because what I'm giving you really here is just kind of like a broad overview. So this is what I have. This is what I use on a daily basis to just manage my life. Let me share this here. Okay, so this is OmniFocus. So Now, OmniFocus is built for a Mac. So if you do not have a Mac, then I will go with Asana. Asana is more of a web-based tool, so you can use it if you're Mac or if you're PC, etc. And I will say with Asana, it has a bit more of a team focus as opposed to OmniFocus. OmniFocus is really built for a single individual. Now, if OmniFocus wasn't just so powerful when it comes to managing your life and managing GTD, I will probably go with Asana because of its team-based capability. But with that said, I just love OmniFocus. OmniFocus integrates seamlessly with my iPhone, with my iPad, and my Mac. And so when it comes to, let me come back to me here for a second. So when it comes to my inbox, remember we talked about inbox, get things out of my head into my system. Right, my phone, right? So I'm at a dinner, I'm at a conference, on the road, whatever it is, I get a thought in my head. Immediately, I use a voice memo here, and I've got this integrated with OmniFocus. So whenever I say, if I add something to what I call my task list, it automatically appears on my OmniFocus inbox, right? And so, in addition, if I'm looking at my email, right, and I'm going through my email, and let's say, there's the email I need. I may want to put that in my OmniFocus inbox, right? Because that's going to turn into a task or a project or maybe an idea or something to reference later, etc. I'm simply going to forward it to an email drop that OmniFocus has set up, and next thing you know, it's in my inbox, right? So I try to come up with different ways to just quickly get information out into the inbox at all times, right? That way, what happens is that now, if I'm at dinner with my family, that idea hits me, or I need to remember to do this. I put that on my inbox, and then it's out of my mind, and then I could be with my family. I could focus on my children. I could focus on my fiance. I can focus on the dinner at hand and enjoy my life, right? So when it comes to productivity, it's not just about being productive. I mean, it is, but it's also about having a nice life. It's about being peaceful and calm, right? It's about being the samurai where you're centered and focused and on a mission. And what is that mission? Whatever that means for you, whatever your life mission is, right? But you're never going to be on that mission if you're just flopping around through life trying to take care of every single fire that comes up all the time. So let's go back to OmniFocus here. So under OmniFocus, remember I talked about how you have different areas of responsibility, right? So here's mine. Here's the way I have mine set up. I've got let's look at starting here. So under personal, so the way I have it broken up is this. So remember I said there's a bucket called Someday Maybe, right? So the way I have it set up, at least with my system, is I have for every area of responsibility, I have within that, it's almost kind of like a project. Within every responsibility, I break it up into two areas. What I want to take care of this week, and what I want to take care of someday maybe, right? So as you can see here, for every area of responsibility, like personal, children, etc., I have this week, and I've got Q, right? So what happens is, as I'm processing things into my inbox, if it's a single task that relates to something personal, like just something I've got just a general personal area of responsibility, or it could be something with my home, like a home improvement project, or something just a single task I need to take care of, like pick up the dog poop in the backyard or what have you, right? Or it could be something health related, or something with my social life, or personal systems, which for me is going to be, say, productivity or training, things like that. I've got consumption. I take in a lot of information, so I've got a consumption project here. There's a training, which is more in-depth consumption, right? Where I'm going to go and train in something and try to implement it, etc. I've got content. So if I'm trying to produce content for you guys, right, or for my audience, it's in here. I've got got one set up for Kineta, right, my recruiting practice, as well as the Digital Headhunter, which is you guys, right? It's my coaching practice. And so I make sure, hey, this is someday maybe goes to my queue. If this is something I want to take care of in the coming week, I put it in my week. And what happens is, and then on Sunday I go through and I make sure, and as tasks are taken care of, I mark them as done, mark them as done, mark them as done, and they slowly start leaving these folders. And then as the weeks go by, or I'm sorry, as I do my next review, I go into each section here, each queue, and I move the ones I want to take care of this week here, and I eliminate the ones that I don't want to take care of anymore. Again, I do a full review, right? And then on the weekly basis, let me open one of these things here and see what I've got. So let's look at, let's see, children. All right, so for example, actually, let's look at, let's look at home. We're at home. Here we go. Okay, so this is a good one. So these are things I need to take care of this week, right, for my home. So this is my queue, right? These things I need to take care of eventually, okay? And then over here, I've got things I need to take care of this week. As you can see, I've got one flagged and the others are not flagged. So, for example, these are my weekly. So when I go plan my day for the next day, I need to think, okay, what do I need done tomorrow, right? So at night, I think, what do I need to plan tomorrow? Well, I'm going to go, I need to do this one, and I need to do, I'll do that one, right? So the next day, I take care of these flat tasks. I complete them, right? And clear them. And there you go, right? And the next day, I go, okay, I need to flag this one, take care of that. Eventually, this will be taken care of. I need to undo that, by the way. Oops. Later. Undo. I don't want to lose those. There we go. That gives you a good idea, though, how I have this set up. And, of course, on the left, I've got my inbox. I've got different... let me show you some of the contexts that I use. In OmniFocus, they're called tags. But as you can see here, I've got tags for consumption, social, gym, home. These are people tags, right? I've got connect tags. I've got email, phone, social media, etc., 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 right? So these are all the different types of tags that I'm using to take to. So that way, if I'm in phone mode, if I'm in email mode or social media mode, I want to take care of all those tasks that relate to that specific context. So hopefully that makes sense, everybody, right? Now, this is the way that I've got OmniFocus set up myself. How you want to set it up, it's up to you, right? This is just one way of doing it. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this within the GTD framework. This is just the way I have it set up, right? I use my areas of responsibility as projects, and within that, I separate those out into two. Got my queue, which is someday maybe, and I've got my take care of this week. Every week I'm reviewing, moving things from queue to this week. And then for my inbox, usually they go into my queue or take care of that week as well, right? Super simple. And if I have bigger projects to take care of, I create those projects separate from an area of responsibility, create tasks within that, and there you go. When that project is complete, I can mark it as done. Easy peasy. And that is how I keep myself relatively stress-free. It's how I can accomplish so much more than I usually can for normal people. And it's also how I can focus on things I need to focus on. And that doesn't just include the tasks at hand, but also includes my friends, my family, my loved ones, as well as myself.
Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the training. Hope you got a lot out of it. And I would recommend, now that you've watched this, go rewatch it a few times, particularly the workflow diagram. I want you to go and actually design a workflow for yourself. And also design a schedule that you can stick with, where you're going to go in and actually start clearing your inbox either daily or every other day, etc., along with a weekly review. Now, I showed you how I manage my own personal workflow based off of what I just showed you, but you can manage it however way you want, as long as you stick within the general concepts that I've shown you. Now, if you want to read more about this style of workflow, get the books called Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's also known as the GTD methodology. I don't think you really need the book. You don't need a whole book to explain the methodology to you, but But if you want to dive more into it, feel free to. So with that said, hope you enjoyed the training, and again, rewatch it a few times if you need to. Now, if you haven't joined the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter community, I would join it. The link for that is going to be down below, and I'll be conducting the next training live probably the next few weeks. I haven't scheduled it yet, but I will here soon. So you can join that live in the group, or you can wait for me to put the recording of it on YouTube like I'm doing right now. In addition, I've got some more links for you as well. Now, I also run a training program called the 7-Figure Headhunter Accelerator. Now, that program is where I specifically take you as an independent recruiter or small search firm owner, or if you work for another large organization, that's fine as well. But I help you design, scale, and sell a higher level offer. And in essence, I help you become the most dominant recruiter in your niche. And it's not just through social media training and developing content, etc. Actually, because I am an active recruiter, I actually teach you how to go and sell, right? I don't just teach you about marketing and content and emails, although I do that as well, but we get down and we mean business, and we actually teach you scripts and templates and frameworks, etc. So if you're interested in that program, and I have a lot of success stories on that as well, feel free to ask around anybody who's in the program, who's in the HERC Facebook group. Feel free to ask. I've got nothing to hide, and we have a lot of success stories to share. But the link for that is down below. I also have a free online training. It's on demand. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes, but I do go in deep on social media recruitment marketing as well. And it just shows you how to scale a search firm to 7 figures beyond using my 5 new model principles. And the link for that is down below. And last, but certainly not least, I also have a 45-page PDF guide called The Lighthouse Method. The Lighthouse Method is what I base everything that I do on. The way I market my coaching service is based on the Lighthouse Method. The way I market my recruitment company is based on the Lighthouse Method. The 5 new model principles training that I deliver is also based on the Lighthouse Method. In other words, go download the Lighthouse Method. It'll give you a good base understanding of how you market your recruitment company on social media, some of the concepts and frameworks, and the link for that is down below. And last but not least, please, if you like this video, slap a like on it, hit that bell so you're notified of any new videos that come up. Make sure you subscribe. And with that said, I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you watching this training and getting some value out of it, and look forward to seeing you on the next one and in the HERC. With that said, guys,